How do you view your relationship with your fame and even with acting? Do you see yourself taking a different route in order to, give different messages through your skills, through your gifts?
I don't know, Shawna, but do you think I think it's very common for people that are new to Christianity to get really overwhelmed by zeal and evangelical fervor in it, and just like, I'm just going to do this now. I'm just going to do this the whole time. Remember, like, that Hollywood and acting, I've been in a few films sort of maybe a couple of years ago or whatever, around COVID, end of COVID time. But I'd experienced a kind of very exciting, almost vertical ascent from doing stuff in the UK and being on MTV, then movie stars coming on my MTV show in the UK and then getting in movies. Like, it was sort of really amazing. Like when Adam Sandler came on my MTV show.
That's crazy.
With his agent, and then I interviewed him, and I was cheeky to Adam Sandler. I didn't even, but if you know Adam Sandler, he's not a high ego guy. For someone that's as talented as he is and a bigger star as he is, he's humble. Right? And he didn't mind that, I had him on for an interview and I was talking the whole time and not letting him talk. And he's like a big, massive movie star and I'm just some guy with a weird haircut from England. And him and his agent, straight afterwards, were like, you're really funny. Come over to LA and I want to represent you, said Adam Sandler's agent, a man called Adam Bennett. And then they introduced me to Judd Apatow. And in about 2 or 3 meetings, it was I'm in one of Adam's movies. I'm in a Judd Apatow movie.
Brilliant movie, by the way. And you crushed that role.
Oh, thank you. You're so lovely. Thank you. And it felt sort of like it was just getting better and better and better. And always when I was a little kid, and as you described, mate, when I was a sort of fat, lonely little boy, I wanted glory. I wanted glory, and I wanted not to feel worthless, and I wanted not to feel sort of small and kind of dirty and ashamed, or whatever it was I felt. There's a number of ways of describing it, but in some way it was without worth. And so when all these things happen on that kind of sort of material or cultural plane, it feels very, very stimulating and very, very rewarding. But simultaneously, if you're kind of a person that's somewhat aware and awake, you're kind of ghoulingly aware that it isn't the thing that you were looking for. You're sort of like, oh, it's not this, is it? But I better keep going. The same with the pursuit of promiscuity, which I pursued rather religiously, I have to be honest, and drugs, which similarly I was devoted to. All of these things. It's so ridiculous, really, when you consider the life of a devout person. You think, I can't be devout. I can't be thinking about Jesus actually the whole time, never taking my mind off Jesus, never taking my eyes off Jesus, not for a second, finding Christ in every single moment. Then I realised, I was a heroin addict, didn't have no problem doing that. Ding, where's the heroin? Get it now! Or when I was out there trying to sleep with everybody that I met, it was when bum, 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 no one had to tell me. I was sort of controlled by that kind of fervour, by that kind of... So now this kind of transition and this kind of transformation, it's happened kind of without effort. Nevertheless, there was a moment in the kind of these sort of obvious, in the ascent, where it felt like it started to get disappointing even by its own terms. You do a movie, in this case it was Arthur, that didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. And I just felt so sort of broken by it. So sort of ugh. Sort of somewhere between shame and disgust and kind of emptiness. And from then I was still doing stuff, but it kind of didn't make sense to me. And remember, of course, before all of this, I've been a drug addict and I grew up without money. I'm from a normal kind of I say always for American people, like New Jersey. It's like a normal blue collar, working class background where you're not in part of all of this stuff. So when it all started to sort of not mean anything, when it started to not even feel like it was a continual ascent, where I went back to was a different, an awareness that I'm not even from here. This isn't what I'm about. I don't care about this stuff. And I was waiting for this. In retrospect, I was waiting for this. May I say this too, that I'm a father and I have 3 children. I have my beautiful little son, who's 11 months old. I have my 2 daughters, who are sort of 5 and 7, and just big, open, radiant, powerful faces, watching these 2 little girls growing. It's so magical and so marvelous. I think about, why would I want to go back into that? Why would I want to go back into those institutions and everything that I know that they represent and everything they elevate and celebrate and all of the things that they delight in and their values? I'm scared of it and appalled by it. And also it seems to me that a different world is opening up and I'm not in control of it. My job is to remain in submission and remain in grace. And I know that the way I do that is if I can conquer for all of the dark external forces I've encountered, there is nothing like the dark internal forces that I've encountered. And if through surrender and submission and by His grace, that can be overcome, come, then I will be his instrument. I don't want anything else. Because I've worked in that world for a while, I met people that are geniuses and brilliant and super funny and super smart. It's all full of like incredible, brilliant people, whether it's Greta Gerwig or Jonah Hill or, all sorts of amazing and really gifted and incredible Jason Segel, incredible, brilliant people. But my personal feeling now is that I don't know that I could sort of go in there. And that, by the way, is not an option that's available to me because I'm cancelled out of that world. So it's not like it's...
Hey, brother. Shh. Stop bringing your negative shit here. Jesus raised people from the dead. You think that a cancellation's going to stop Jesus' will? This is what you're doing. You're trying to get me to believe in your fear, and I won't.
That's lovely, George. I love it. But I'll add to that, and I don't believe. Thank you very much.
Could
Thank
you
for
grab me
saying
that Celsius right there? Just throw it to me.
The people are blasting this Celsius.
Yeah.
But I want to say that's one side of it, because I don't like... Do you know what I felt in that moment, George? What have you done to us?
I am so sorry.
This proud institution owned by the Illuminati.
Dude, you do not know how to hold a secret, bro.
Here we are at Bohemian Grove. And you can't respect their carpets.
Hey, Ryan Garcia, you get back. Get back.
Please.
I'm so
Ryan,
sorry.
you stay where you are. You're doing very well. Don't let people criticize. Ryan, I will not let you convince me that you are not beautiful, Ryan. Don't bring your negative shit.
I'm so sorry. Reed, could you throw this away? I'm so sorry. And I keep interrupting you, and Belle keeps hyping you. I'm so sorry.
I like it. I was at the best day of my life. But like I said, it's not... There's two things that happen. One thing, because you're obviously very intuitive and sensitive people, like I'm sort of watching this, I'm thinking people like that. Someone might be watching this and go, "Well, it's all well and good you saying you don't want to work in Hollywood. Hollywood wouldn't have you." So I want to sort of firstly address the reality of that situation. But secondly, I want to say that this is a world that I have inhabited, and I talk to people still that are in that world, and I know people that are at the very apex of that world that are absolutely magnificent and brilliant and very successful people. And I think, how do they marshal their minds into award show acceptance speeches knowing what they know? How do we pretend that it's real and that it matters? So from one side, I'm aware of the Mammon, El Diablo, the dark coin.
Well, this is why Jesus says you will either worship me or money. There's two gods on this earth. So when you're like, how could they do that? It's because they worship it. And they will turn an eye to it because they don't want to see it.
So what I'm saying to you is, it's not like, because a minute ago, you asked me, do you want to do acting or whatever? And in part, I don't know, because who knows, in the future, maybe you'll create such a wonderful sort of media empire with your evident ability and varying skills and entrepreneurship, and you'll make movies and you'll go, oh, Russell, you're the person I really want to play Paul in this movie. You're the only person I can imagine falling backwards off a horse and having the Damascene realization.
Paul, I like the way they put a spin on this.
Yes. You think Paul's American? You fascist pigs!
No, and
that's how empire works.
100, and it makes sense why you feel this way, coming from what you've seen and what you've experienced. And I think like this is kind of my take on it, and maybe I'm crazy or maybe I'm naive. But I think that I've seen things like, for example, there's an amazing studio called Angel Studios.
Yeah.
And they're bringing real stories, beautiful stories, praising God, while also sticking to the art of it. And I think that, for a long time, what's been unfortunate is a lot of like Christian movies have been quite, deemed as cheesy, and so nobody really wants to watch them.
The cheese has been an issue, hasn't it?
It has been, and nobody really, wants to watch them, or they're not intrigued by it. It's not in the movie theaters. But I think what's so wonderful about this studio, and I think that what I, pray to God that I can be a part of, is that we can make films that are beautiful, that are artistic, that are incredibly entertaining for people, but that also hold a really important message. And I think that the youth of today, right, we all learn and take what we see online or what we watch from movies. You think that, oh, Russell's so cool, I want to be like him. And so they see your pattern and they want to be like you, right? But if we create movies who have an amazing message behind it, then maybe we can influence the younger generation to go, so they can be this movie star, but I don't have to be this terrible person.
I have one thing to add to her.
All right, but I want to answer Shawna's question also, if you will allow it.
Yeah. Wait. All right, go ahead.
You're a little git, aren't you? You're going to be... Do you know what I think about you? You're going to be so lovely when you're like 50, when he's a kind of like a pappy kind of character. Ho, 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 with grandchildren and stuff. You're going to be sort of lovely, jolly, like sort of. I imagine you in a sort of a string vest on a fishing boat on a Cretan shore. But what I want to say in response to this, is that this may be your path, this may be your path, and I certainly pray for that outcome. But some of the experiences that I've had is that all of us embark on that path saying, take politics, man. They all go, when I get there, then I'll be able to, from within, sort of I'll be able to make the system better. Like a sort of Bill Clinton, Tony Blair, all these people, like those kind of politicians of the 90s for you must seem like a sepia age away. They all said, they dropped historic commitments, to example, for, Bill Clinton deregulated the financial industry. Tony Blair severed the ties to the union movement, saying that, once we've got to do this in order to get in power, but when we get in power, we'll make sure we look after working class people. They didn't work when they got there because the system gets webbed and glommed onto their head. The system is not just human, it is a spiritual power. So you absolutely might be able to. Of course you might be able to. I would never seek to put limits on your evident radiance, the pair of you. But what I have experienced myself, I've actually lived, is I thought I'm going to become... I was doing acid when I was 16-year-old kid in Grays, right? So I'm tripping and extraterrestrials and deities and miracles and stuff, and I'll get famous, but once I get famous, then I'll spread the message to the people. But I didn't realise how subtle it was. It's not just to be obsessed with the material world is to sort of want fast cars and fast, cheap experiences. No, the material world is self, ultimately. Once, the thing that I didn't see in Christianity when I was dismissing it, thinking, Christianity, that's not going to work. That's for old ladies and poor people. That's no good for me, right? What I didn't see in it that was saying is that you have already got a God. You either will be worshipping this God or that God. Which one do you want? The one that can save you or the one that's going to destroy you? I didn't see that was in there because, like I told you earlier, I thought I'd read the Bible and I hadn't. I've not read it. Yeah. When I read it, I was like, oh my God, I have to surrender to him. So what I'm saying to you is that I went into those various institutions thinking, when I get there, then I'll change it. I'll change the world from within the system. But actually, the system changed me. The system woke up that within me, which was sort of greedy and materialistic and sensual and self-centered, or it certainly heightened that which was already there. And so now what I'm trying to think is it possible for me to walk a path where I am shown, 100%.
I love your vulnerability. First and foremost, we would never want to tell you what to do.
Oh, 100%.
That's in Jesus' hands. Always.
Just a fan of your acting.
Okay, yeah, huge fan.
Now I feel like they're my parents.
Yeah.
It's like a really bizarre sketch.
Okay. Why? Tell me what to do.
First, seek the kingdom. That's right. That's the thing, and then he's going to put that in your lane. The reason why I said all that is because, all right, hold on. This is the best way I could ask you. You're saying what I think, what I'm assuming is we're all sheep, right? So you are who your surrounding is, right? So if you're in this industry, the industry's so big and evil that it will more suck you in than you suck it into your direction. Am I gathering this?
Kind of that, yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. Who did Jesus hang out with when he was here?
Not movie producers.
Corrupted people. People so bad and so off the path, the Pharisees were like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, but I'm saying Hollywood's more Pharisees than whores and tax collectors.
I'm saying that evil is evil, regardless of what you paint it as.
I appreciate that, but when we're talking about institution, what is the power center, or what are the power centers of Mammon's kingdoms? What Christ is plainly spending to hanging with is the dispossessed and the poor of spirit, and that's who he's hanging out with.
He hung out with prostitutes. He hung out with tax collectors.
Exactly. Yeah. Not, I'm going to go hang out with sort of kings and big stars and top gladiators and...
I get that.
A little bit of a chat with Nicodemus. Other than that...
By the way, Nicodemus is a powerful name.
Here's some lyrics. And then out.
All I'm saying is that if you ever wanted to just even dabble into that lane again, I just say that if you walk into a room with Christ, I don't care how dark that room is. I don't care how powerful they are. I don't care how many people are in their secret clan. I don't care if the devil himself is sitting next to you being like, no. They're going to have to shut up and bounce. That's the easiest way that I could put it. If we turn off this light, it becomes dark in here. If I bring this light in here, I don't care how much darkness is here, it becomes light.
Yes. I understand, but why would we accept the limitations, the artificial limitations of this room? Why would we say, I'm going to go and illuminate that institution, or I'm going to go and illuminate... because I think whether we're talking about institutions such as the entertainment industry and political institutions, and maybe I began this by saying how sort of the science as a set of corporate interests interlocked with state regulatory bodies becomes corrupted. And what I feel like is that we have to create new systems.
Yes.
And you gave the example of Angel Studios, and I wouldn't mind, but I pray that Angel Studios is doing well, because I love The Chosen and I love Jonathan Rumi in particular, who was my body double when I done this show Ballers. So I had
No way!
Jesus was my body double.
So Jesus was always with you.
He was with me right there. They were using Jesus to light the shop.
Let's go.
Then I would step in.
Wow. That was nice. That was really nice. That was nice.